What's good, y'all? Elvis here. Back in with another episode of Better Barbering. Better Barbering is a series that I started where I share tips and tricks that made me a better barber that other people can use to make them better barbers, and ideally better people. So recently, I don't know when it came out, but I made a video about how I retired from being a barber. I'm gonna still cut hair because that's what I love to do, but I don't care about being a professional barber or whatever. I'm transitioning into a different season of my life. But it's making me like look back and reflect, and I'm realizing like, yo, barbering has legitimately been a superpower in my life. Like a superpower, if not like a force multiplier. So I first started cutting hair in middle school, really just trial and error, cutting myself because I couldn't afford haircuts, and you know, single mother household, you know how that go. Practice on myself, YouTube trial and error or whatever. And then I started cutting my cousins, and it was just kind of like a hobby. It wasn't something I even advertised or even told people I did until college, where I was doing a little BS on-campus work-study job that was not taking care of no bills. I was like, shoot, what can I do to make some money? And also, that's something I enjoy. Got into it for the art because I really just enjoyed it. I didn't really even think it was a thing that made money until I was like about 3 years into my chemical engineering degree. Great time to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, right? So I pivoted, and then barbering became a way bigger thing in my life. Regardless of what stage I was in and whatever role barbering fit in my life at that point, I realized it's low-key been a superpower because it supercharged everything I was doing. Especially being an engineering student, I had an edge on all my classmates because I had something that actively grew my communication skills. And if you've been a STEM major or you know a bunch of STEM people, they usually really smart up here, but they social skills, they EQ versus the IQ is pretty low. So it was a lot easier for me to communicate and network with people compared to my peers. As an engineer, it made it easier to politic with people in the engineering world. And then I could take those same skills and copy and paste it to my more artsy, creative friends. Every time I went into a new area, barbering was a thing that helped me make connections with people. But also, it was something that allowed me to view new arts through a lens, or a familiar lens, rather. Because most crafts, arts and crafts, they're very similar if you really look at it. It's just different ways of expressing your creativity. They're all basically a bunch of skills stacked on top of each other. Like right now, this year, I've been more into music than I've been into cutting hair, which is kind of like a really wild pivot for most people. So I've done a lot of learning in the last, I started rapping in December, so dang, it's only been like 4 months, about 4 months. I've learned a whole lot, and I've built up a whole bunch of music skills. And I realized that they're very, very similar to the skills I learned in cutting hair. It's just the specific things are different. Learning song structure is very similar to learning fade structure. It's been teaching me how much overlap there is between artistic disciplines and how everybody effectively is an artist or a creative in some regard. And now getting into all these creative ventures made me realize like, oh, I've always been an artist. I just didn't really realize it. Right now, it's kind of like, it's more interdisciplinary. Like, I'm just artist generally. I'm just getting into a bunch of creative stuff. So it's like music, cutting hair, I guess, content, photography, writing, what. Before that, it was barbering. And then before that, it was engineering. And engineering is the art of problem solving. It all ties together. I've been thinking about like the path I'm on, and I really feel like I would have been on this path regardless of whatever I started with, because I knew from the jump with engineering that wasn't something I cared too much about, like being an employee, being an engineer or whatever. I wanted to do engineering stuff. I like to stretch my brain and solve problems, and boy, when I say numbers are beautiful, real world applications of math and science is my shit. Like, I knew I loved that in my heart. I didn't care about being an employee. So once I realized there was a difference between loving engineering and working as an engineer, I made a pivot. The same thing with cutting hair. I became a barber because I wanted to cut hair and I wanted to sustain myself. And now I realize, oh, this is cool. All this stuff is cool, but I don't care about being paid to cut hair. I just like the interactions I have with people. I like expressing my art and the connections I make. And then the money happens to be cool, but I can make money doing anything. Oh, and also entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is literally just being creative financially. It's all low-key the same thing. So I knew eventually this was a path I was gonna end up on. I just didn't know the specific arrangement of the events. But basically, the point of this video is like, if you're thinking about being a barber, I say go for that shit, because it's gonna supercharge everything you do. Because even if you don't use barbering as a thing to really get your financial bag up, you know what I'm saying? Like you can use it to get your spiritual bag up, your mental bag up, emotional bag up. Like there's so many different kinds of value you can get from being a barber, because you're interacting with different people, and relationships are completely what you make them. I know a lot of barbers that make a whole lot of money, but all their interactions are very transactional. They don't like any of their clients. But I know a whole lot of barbers that low-key do mostly free haircuts or don't make any money cutting hair for real, but they have another level of fulfillment that comes from the work that they do, and then they just get paid through another way. You don't have to be fully dependent on one thing. It can fit whatever role you need it to fit. And the same goes for most things that are, let's say, art/businesses. Because barber's kind of special, where it's like it's right in the middle between an art and a business. But most arts have a financial aspect to them if you decide to branch into that. And that's really just becoming more entrepreneurial, which is just being creative financially. You know what I'm saying? Really just growing your capacity as an artist. That's what I've been doing this entire time. Like, I called it going on like my engineer journey, barbering, and now entrepreneurial artist, whatever. But it's really from the jump, I've just been growing creatively. That's it. And I feel like my life actually gets better the less expectations I put on the path that I'm on, for real. People be just making eye contact rolling by. That should be making me uncomfortable. But yeah, that's all I really got for today. If y'all got any value, if you think I'm spitting, go ahead, share this with somebody. Go ahead, comment something down below. If you haven't already followed me on Instagram or TikTok, go ahead and follow your boy at Cuts by Elvis, as well as Better Barbering. But till next time, appreciate y'all. Again, Craft Over Clout, I'm out.